brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we gotta find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah. Picket lines, brother, and picket signs, brother. Don't punish me with brutality. Come on, talk to me, brother, so you can see. Oh, what's going on? 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 Brother, everybody thinks we're wrong, but who are they to judge us just because our hair is long? You know we gotta find a way to bring some understanding here today. Yeah. Picket lines, sister, and picket signs, sister. Don't punish me, sister, with brutality. Sister. Come on, talk to me, sister, so you can see. Sister. Oh, what's going on? 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 Mother, there's too many of you crying. And brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we gotta find a way. Thank you.
I've said this so many times and it bears repeating because I love this phrase. It's from our founder, Ernest Holmes. And he was asked if he could describe what this thing is. Like, what is this thing? It's like a church. It's like, what are you doing here? And he was probably asked the same thing. In fact, he was asked if he could describe our teaching in 50 words or less. I don't think it took him very long. But what he said is, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact terminology, but I have the right words, but they may not be in the right order. He said that what we teach is a synthesis of the discoveries of science, opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion applied to human needs and aspirations. If I was going to even simplify it further, I'd say we teach ancient and modern wisdom to heal hurts and build dreams. That's what we're about. So this thing that you've heard about, that people have experienced, that has shifted in them, this teaching, which is the teaching that we're spirit, mind, and body, and that we need to know more about our spirit. And in so doing, things shift. It can be applied in any direction. I don't know that I will ever be done. I'm kind of confused when people think they've got it. No, there's so much more to get. Because there's infinite spirit, and you grow in it, and it grows in you, and you shift, and you shift, and you shift. So what I can say, if I was going to say this in another way, is that things go better with God. For me, it used to be Diet Coke, but people got angry. So now I only drink it in private. No, really, I had a Diet Coke up here once, and because I was really thirsty, and somebody got me a Diet Coke, and I took a big swig, and I saw the looks on people's faces. It's like, that should have been a beer. Or anything, vodka tonic, but not Diet Coke. I mean, we get so weird, don't we? Don't we? What the new bad thing is? Well, that was at that time the bad thing, so don't do that. Anyway, moving on. It's really hard to be in a philosophy where there really isn't a lot of don'ts, because you can't don't on me. So, spirit, mind, and body. When we have a spiritual teaching, not necessarily a religious teaching, I think religions can sometimes be used or perceived as a way to get to heaven. Whereas I think a spiritual teaching is more an ability for us to have a better life here and now, not hereafter, so that this life can be as full as it can be. And I'm so grateful that Ernest Holmes said that we are taking our wisdom from the revelations of religion, because that lets us draw from a lot of different religions. And sometimes it's just easier to draw from other religions because we don't get all wrapped up in the way we thought we heard a story before. Like, it's very difficult for me to do Easter and Christmas because people have this opinion of those stories. There are stories, don't mess with the story. Or the story is false, so throw out the story. We can't just take the good from the story. We have to do kind of weird stuff with that story. So it's better to just not do stories we know. Let's look at other stories. And then we don't take things so seriously. And we don't just believe them. For instance, I'm going to talk about the Ramayana. Rama was an incarnation of Vishnu, the sustainer of the universe. When he was born, he was green. I still wonder, didn't anybody notice? Did anybody notice he was green and had dark green hair and beady green eyes? I mean, like, that wasn't odd? See, I could look at this and go, why didn't they notice that? Well, why didn't we notice that Joseph took a woman he supposedly loved who was 9 months pregnant, put her on a donkey and took her for a ride? Anybody notice that? How many of you have ever been pregnant? How many of you in your last days of pregnancy would have wanted to get on a donkey and go for 13 miles? No saddle. Let's talk. Jeez. Stories are stories. They're meant to convey a message. They're not meant to be factual. We lose the essence if we dicker about the factualness of it. So I just need to give some homage, because I like to do that. When I've been inspired by somebody that's changed my life, I want to say something about them. And so I want to do just a slight honoring of a man named Bo Lazoff. I'm not sure how I met him, but I'm so grateful I did. He came to CBEC at least twice and maybe 3 times. And what he said is, if you read the Ramayana, it will change your life. Read it once a year, it'll change your life. And I've been reading it once a year now for over 25 years. And every time I read it, I get another nugget from it, because it has a transmission in it. This story has a transmission. It's something is live in it. And just last night, I read something that I must have read before, but it was my time to read it. It was my time to accept it, and it went ka-chunk. You'll learn more about that in a moment. Bo was a Jewish gentleman who converted. I don't know if you convert to Hinduism, but he became a Hindu. He was part of the Hanuman Society, and the Hanuman Society comes from the word Hanuman that is also in this book, meaning we are the servants of God, and we serve God by serving others. His service was to create something he called the Prison Ashram Project, because he said, we're all doing time. And I pay a lot of money to go to an ashram, and you don't have to pay any money to go to prison. And they're both cells. So I go in to get enlightened, so why aren't you using your time here in prison to become enlightened? And he had a huge following. Changed people's lives, not on the outside, but on the inside. In India, this is probably one of the most treasured stories that you'll find. It is one of the most read stories in India. It's been serialized, and I can understand why it would become serialized, because it makes our soap operas seem tame. I mean, there's stuff going on, intrigue, heroes, suspicions, danger, everything you want. And what I read many years ago is that when TVs first started making their way into Indian life, there would be first a TV in at least one TV in some place in the village where everyone could watch it. And when the Ramayana was on, because it was serialized, work stopped and they all gathered around the one TV to watch the Ramayana. It was such an important part of their culture. So I'm going to bring up some of the things that may have been wanting to be conveyed during those stories. I'm not sure, but I'm also going to share with you some things that have affected me through the years. Lessons I would not have got from our Bible, or maybe I would have gotten it, but it showed up differently. Lessons that were personal, and I'm going to share them with you because they might be yours to receive. I mean, you are here, and I don't believe in accidents. So let us begin. We begin the story of the Ramayana much like we would begin the Tale of Two Cities. Who remembers the Tale of Two Cities? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That's how the Tale of Two Cities begins, and that's how this book begins, although not with those words. And the best of times came to a lovely land, beautiful, blessed and kissed by the gods. Everyone was rich, and they were beautiful, and they were healthy, and they were strong, and they lived for hundreds and thousands of years. In fact, the king of that fair country, that fair city, the golden jewel of India, had lived for at least 60,000 years. This was the age when they lived a long time, according to this. That was the second age, we're now in the third. And in that second age, he'd lived for 60,000 years, and he finally got the idea, something's missing. I have a palace. I got subjects that love me. There's no intrigue. I have no battles to fight anymore. I have 3 lovely, gorgeous, voluptuous wives. But I have no son. I want a son. So he calls forth his personal holy man, because that's what you get when you're a king. You have your own personal holy man. You don't have a personal holy lady, by the way. Just saying. Anyway, don't get that idea. Do the prayer practitioner thing like the rest of us. I call in too, Let the prayer practitioners, we've got a whole body of people, but he had a personal holy man. Had a personal holy man, he called him up and he said, I want a son. And he said, okay, I'll create an offering. I'll set a fire, you'll get a son. At that time, it was believed that if you did the offering just right, the prayers would be heard or sensed by the gods. That's the best of times. The worst of times was happening in another realm, and that realm was the realm of the gods. So, in this belief system, there's the underworld, there's the realm of the humans, there's the realm of the gods, and there's the realm of the Trinity. And then there's even something beyond that. The realm of the gods was filled with gods. It's said that in Hinduism there's at least over 5,000 gods, because there's a god for everything. There's a god for a breeze, a strong wind, rain, thunderstorm, water, waves, tide. I mean, anything that exists has a god over it. And I remember being in India my first time. And what I loved about India is that, at least for the Hindus, they created an altar, and the altar was prominent, and the altar was important. So they would put candles or flowers or some sort of wonderful decoration on their altar in their business every day, so that God was first. And it didn't make Western sense, because the altar got prime counter space. Now, if it was 7-Eleven, there would be candy and mints and other things. But no, altar. And I saw all of these little statues, and of course Ganesh, because Ganesh was the remover of obstacles and the god of prosperity, and lots of other gods. And I'm looking at this beautiful altar, and the gentleman is behind me, and he says, there's only one God. Many aspects, but truly only one God. And I have also heard from people who are of Hindu descent that when they really move into the practice of their faith, what they will say is that since we live over and over and over again, there's no way to know the absolute God in one life. So we'll take an aspect of God and know it in each life. So I'll know this aspect of wisdom, or I'll know this aspect of power, and knowing that that's still just aspects. So there's this realm of gods. It'd be kind of like in Celtic spirituality, the realm of fairies, and all these invisible powers having an effect on human life. But in that realm, there was trouble. It was the worst of times. And the god that was the head god, we'll call it the king of gods, Indra, in his palace, who ran heaven, he was so mad and so upset. And even though he knew that there was going to be an offering to him, and he was going to have to go down and take care of the offering, because God couldn't refuse an offering, he was so mad because his heaven had just been demolished. There's a word for it, but I don't remember what it is. In fact, actually, this story, I'm going to save you from my pronunciations. So the stories, I would say, is, this tale is true, but names have been changed so that I don't butcher them. So were these beings up in heaven, and they are dead, and they were like our version of angels, only they look more like gargoyles. But they were the defenders of heaven. They're dead. And dancing women. Oh no, heaven had to have dancing women. And pleasure houses. Oh my. They were dead. They're littering the street. Oh, and by the way, the streets were paved with gold. What's that sound like? What's that sound like? The gold streets are littered with bodies and blood everywhere, and he's upset. It's the worst of times. So he goes straight to the boss. He goes to Brahma, creator of everything. And he says, how dare you let that demon have power over us gods? And the Brahma says, I really regret it. In fact, I regret creating any of you, but we'll go on. As it turns out, Ravana, the king of the demons, had done something weird. I don't remember what it was, but it was something like hold his breath for 1,000 years. It was big. And it got the attention of all the gods, and Brahma wanted him to stop. It's like, stop that. So here, I'll give you a favor. They call it a boon. I'll give you a boon. I'll do a favor for you. Just, you got my attention. Stop it. Now, this sounds like a stupid story, but how many of you think you have to do something to get God's attention? Isn't that just a magnification of us wondering if God's listening? Isn't it a magnification of wondering if we're really worthy of God's favor? They're just blowing it out of proportion so we get to look at it. So he got, Ravana, the king of the demons, got a boon. And the boon was, and this is what he asked for, nothing under the earth or in heaven can kill me. That meant no other demon, no life, because they believed that life was under the ground and there were all sorts of forms and they were magical. Nothing under the ground, and no God could kill him. So he went on a rampage. He was just doing anything he wanted. It was like a 2-year-old with the keys to the car, having fun. It was the worst of times. So Indra is now crying to Brahma and saying, how could you do this? And Brahma is the creator God. And the creator God says, I just do stuff. I don't even know. I'm impulsive. I created all of you. It was a thought. Truly. In the beginning was the Word. You are a thought of God, by the way. So he says, go talk to Vishnu. Vishnu will know what to do. There's Trinity. There's Trinity show up everywhere. And there's a Trinity. There is God the creator, God the sustainer, and God the destroyer, and they all interplay upon each other. And he says, I created this mess, but I don't know how to get you out of it, so go talk to Vishnu. So he goes to Vishnu. And when you're talking to Vishnu, you call him by another name, which is Lord Narayana. Lord Narayana, he says, Indra. We've got a big mess here, and gods are getting killed, and heaven's been destroyed, and nothing can stop that demon guy because he got this boon. And Narayana goes, oh yes, but he is stupid. He did, but I'm on a, now imagine that I'm on a lotus while I'm saying this. Yes, but he is stupid. And Indra says, what do you mean he's stupid? He look what he got. He got all this power. He says, yes, but there is a way that he can be killed, and he didn't signify that. And Indra says, oh, that's right. He didn't believe a human could kill him. That's right. So, you need to ask. What is it? Narayana is talking to Indra. What is it that you want? Say it. Say it. And Indra says, I want you to incarnate as a human and save the world. What's this sound like? And this is so important. And Narayana says, it's already done. Which sounds a lot like what has been said in the Bible. Before you call, it shall be answered. I will give before you ask. See, what if your desire shows up in you because it's already done, but you need to claim it? Emma Curtis Hopkins says you need to name your good. A lot of people want good, and it's sort of like this free form thing. You gotta take that energy, focus it, and name it. That's what human beings do. That's what intelligent spiritual beings do. That's what Narayana had to do. That's what Indra had to do. He had to tell Narayana, bless me this way. You show up on earth. You help out. So let's just take a moment, take a deep breath. And in this collective story, because we're part of this story, close your eyes. And what would you ask for? What would you be willing to accept? Be specific. Even Indra had to be specific. Just ask. And we're in the collective consciousness of faith. We're letting this story move us. We're in the story. What is it you're willing to ask for? What are you willing to accept? Indra makes his request. Narayana says it's done. And he says, now run over there and answer the prayer of the good king. So he answers the prayer of the good king. He takes form. Indra takes form and appears to the king and offers him rice. He says, have your wives eat this rice and they will become pregnant and have sons. Moral of the story, watch what you eat. Don't say I didn't warn you. No, that's not the moral of the story. It's really fun to say. So now the wonderful story develops. Rama and 3 brothers were born to 3 beautiful wives, and they developed into fabulous men. Rama was loved by all. His brothers, what he called his mothers. He was loved by the kingdom. He was loved by the gods. He was loved by the king. He was loved by everyone. Rama meets Sita, a beautiful princess that is the daughter of the earth herself, and performs an incredible act of strength so that he can win her hand in marriage. But here's where the intrigue happens, because what's a story without intrigue, right? I mean, blah. So the intrigue happens when the youngest wife becomes jealous of Rama, because she has 2 sons, and she thinks that when Rama becomes king, she'll be kicked out of the palace and her sons will become destitute. So she knows that she has 2 wishes that she can ask the king of at any time. She'd done something for him, and he said, anytime, ask me 2 things and I'll give them to you. So she said, here's what I want. I want Rama to be exiled for 14 years into the woods, into the forest, and I want my son, and she names him, I want him to become king. And the king is devastated. He says, don't ask me this, because if you ask me this, I'm going to have to do it. Please don't ask me this. Nope, that's what my mind is made up. This is what I want. He says, oh no, I have to do it. No. So he informs Rama, you have to go out into the woods. You're exiled for 14 years. Rama, and this is the teaching, if that's what's before him, he does it with dignity. What they teach in the Ramayana is dharma, which is doing what's in front of you with dignity. Do what is yours with dignity. Unfortunately, not all people were as enlightened as Rama. And they have fits. The wives have fits. The king says, I'm going to die. All of the kingdom is like mourning and weeping and gnashing their teeth. And people are saying, let's kill the wifey poo. And well, they didn't call her wifey poo. A lot of drama going on. And then they're begging the king to take back what he had said. And he says, no, I can't do that. I can't do it because I gave my word. Now that's the other lesson I learned. How many of us give our word willy-nilly? We say it, but we don't mean it. We mean it then, but we don't mean it now. And what it says in the Ramayana is that the very foundation of the earth depends upon our word being strong. And here's the deal for those of you that pray. Your word is the law unto the law, but if you can't trust your word, you don't trust that the law is listening either. If you say one thing and do another, your word is diminished. You diminish the word. You diminish its power. So off he goes, exile for 14 years, has a great time, learns how to make tents out of nothing and live off the land, but there's still a lot of book. So right before the 14 years are up, Ravana, the king of the demons, catches a glimpse of Sita as he flies by, and he goes, oh yeah, now she's pretty, she's really, really pretty. I wants her a lot. So he appears before her and says, get rid of that human, look at me, I'm so much better than he is. Why would you be married to a human when you could have me with my 10 heads and 20 arms? Think what I could do. And she says, I know, I love Rama, I think I'll stick with him. We're married. Well, okay, then if I can't get it straightforward, I'll cheat. So he changes his form into the form of a beggar holy man, and he's begging for alms. And he comes up to her, and she can't resist because you're supposed to take care of holy people. So she reaches out to give him some rice, and he grabs her by the hand and takes her off. Now the fun begins. Cut to the chase. Rama must go and rescue her. She's out, she's in the palace, but she won't go into the palace, and he can't force her into the palace, so she's out in a garden by herself. Everybody loves Sita. Everybody sees how pure she is. Everybody admires her resistance to the glorious, wonderful Ravana with the 10 heads. Woo-hoo. So the story, a lot of the story is Rama chasing after Sita and getting all of these allies as he goes. Bears and monkeys and eagles and squirrels. Don't ask. Sita pines away. He makes his journey. And what I realize is that when we're really intent on what we want to do, and he wanted to save his wife and get her back, we acquire allies. If you stay put, there's no allies. When we move forward, the universe starts to support the trip. And more support showed up, and more support showed up in all types and forms, and all of them were needed when they were needed. As miracles happen, because humans had no magic, but all the animals did. They talked to each other, they could fly, they could cast stones onto the water and create a bridge that floated. So Rama and his huge army of bears and monkeys and eagles and squirrels made it across from India to Sri Lanka on a floating bridge of rock. Miracles. Then there's a big warfare, stuff going on. The demons thought it'd be easy to conquer the bears, and it wasn't. The demons thought it'd be really easy to conquer the monkeys, but they're wily, and they can fly. And the squirrels, no pity on those toes. No pity. Many of the demons fell. So Ravana finally says, oh, if you see a job, it's mine. No, I threw a little Emma Curtis Hopkins in there. And so he said, I will fight Rama myself, one-on-one, to the death. And there's a big, huge fight. But right before he does that, by the way, this is what I got last night. Before he does that, he still wants Sita. He decides he's going to play a little trick on Sita because she's heard that Rama's on the island. And so he conjures up a head that looks just like Rama, and he picks it up by the hair, and he shows this big, ugly, it's now a skull, green skull to Sita, and says, look, it's your beloved. He's dead. Marry me now. And she's just about to hold her breath and die. She's decided she's going to die. But one of his wives takes pity on her and flies in and says, no, this is an apparition. Look, it's nothing. This is what I read last night that was so important to me. Out in the streets, everyone is armed. Weapons are a sign of fear made visible. What the wife, her ally, was saying, they're afraid because Rama's winning. But this is what I heard. Weapons are a sign of fear made visible. Thank you. Some of you are getting it. Ernest Holmes does quite a riff in the book Beverly Hills Lectures about the difference between a cure and a healing. A cure is when you fix something and it doesn't bug you anymore. A healing is when that would never happen again. I think sometimes politically we want a cure. Politically we want things to change so that we're not bugged anymore, instead of a healing that comes from a deep sense of rightness, a deep sense of spiritual unity, a deep sense of love. We go for the shallow instead of the depth. What I realize is that I think I've been for gun control because I'm afraid. So's everybody else. I shouldn't pray that we change laws to make me feel better. I should pray that love heals the fear that's in human hearts. And it can happen, and things would change. Did you know that in Iceland, there's one gun for every 3 people? Now, those people include babies, kids, and people like me who think they're loud and noisy. One gun for 3 people in a country that has not had a murder with a gun since 2007. Yeah, because there's no fear. We should be praying to eliminate fear, eliminate this need to somehow protect myself from the other because I don't see our oneness. That's what we should be praying for. That's what I got last night. I love it. Every time I read it, once a year, I get one thing. It's good. Now let's conclude this story. Ravana and Rama go at it, tearing each other apart. Ravana is a demon, so he can change and shapeshift and sneak up and do crazy things. And Rama has to just listen to his inner voice, and he sees the god Indra. And something says inside, that's not Indra. Kill him. And he kills him. And Indra changes form back into Ravana with his 10 heads and his 20 arms and falls to the ground. And Rama stands over him. And at that exact moment, there's total silence on all of Sri Lanka, and Ravana's second in command, his number 1, comes walking through the crowds. Everyone's parting, and he hands Rama a stone letter. Now that's weird, but it's kind of like Rama's green. And he opens up the letter, stone. Opens up the stone letter and reads, Lord Narayana, because Ravana knew who Rama was. Lord Narayana, you make the moon walk in brightness and the stars vanish in the daylight. My dear Rama, Lord of the worlds, think and remember how you promised Indra to kill me forever. Nothing is forever except you. I am only a demon, and it was hard for me to approach you. And yet I knew who you were, and before time began, we made a covenant that I would draw you to earth, and as a human, I would make you remember your divine self. My job is done, and we are one forever because there's only you. I read that the first time and I thought, what if the people that bug us, the demons in our life, are only there to call out our power? Do you see how that could totally transform everything? Do you see that then you could bless them and bless what's going on? Recently, I read another passage from Emma Curtis Hopkins who said, no matter what is going on that seems to be against you, know that God is in the midst of it and it is for you. So bless the person, place, or thing so that God can reveal itself. Bless the circumstance. Bless the delay. Bless the deceit. Bless the betrayal. Because in the midst of it, God is, and we're the ones that have to call it good. Don't wait for good. Call it forth. Perhaps it's asking you to be powerful. And the more powerful the opposition, the greater the call for you to own your power and call it good. So take a moment. What has opposed you? What has shown up with 10 heads and 20 arms and shape-shifted and scared you and deceived you? What is your Ravana? It's there for your glory. And so it is.